Hello, good evening to everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Had a pretty interesting day. I talked to my old friend Bob Tuskin on his show, somebody who I worked with a lot back in the day, who also is kind of making a comeback after many years of being away. I'm going to publish that. It was an hour-long interview on the channel tomorrow, I think. And yeah, it was a pretty interesting conversation. We talked a lot about the Epstein stuff that I've been working on, but we also talked about kind of our history and some of the stuff we worked on in the past. So that should be a little bit interesting. Good evening to you all. Good to see you in the chat. So I think the main big story of today was Pam Bondi for 5 hours in front of Congress, freaking out and just deflecting every question in the most unreal ways. Like, it's typical for these politicians to be very evasive in their questions. Like, that's normal, but the kind of combative nature of it and just how blatantly, like, you weren't answering anything. Like, at least they usually try to pretend to answer the questions in their non-answers, and that's like part of the skill of being a politician is lying without it seeming like you're lying, you know what I mean? Like, but apparently, and it seems like a thing of the Trump administration generally, is to just go on the attack, go, never be on defense. So let's take a look at, before we get into that though, I like to like share the random, sometimes interesting, sometimes funny stuff that I find at the beginning of the stream. So I don't, I guess this was today as confirmed by Reuters. Let me bring the screen up. Apparently a massive brawl broke out at the parliament in Turkey, and I just kind of wish that we had an opposition party that could bring that kind of energy here. What's up, y'all? Good evening or morning to you wherever you're at. So check this out. This shit's crazy. Could you imagine, like, I guess, like Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi or something brawling? I feel like we are, I don't know. I feel like we're not a real country or something, because I feel like we would be if we had a real opposition party. And there was a little bit of good news. The House votes to overturn Trump's tariffs on Canada. 6 Republicans joined Democrats. Bacon, Massey, Kylie, Fitzpatrick, Hurd, and Newhouse. I'm surprised that Paul wasn't in there too, because he was actually against the tariffs. Let's see.
On this vote, the yeas are 219 and the nays are 211. The joint resolution is passed.
It really is the most expensive reality TV show ever, and we have the reality TV president. So I have a compilation of the Pam Bondi stuff that I think I'll probably just play the compilation, and then I'll see if I missed anything, because I collected a whole bunch of different videos throughout the day, and I know that she had like I said, 5 hours. I don't know how she managed to be that to carry on like that for that long without drugs. Like, you got to be severely mentally ill, I think, to be able to just take that kind of like heat and just keep on going at it for that long. Let's see.
You apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
I'll speed this up a little bit.
Congresswoman, you sat before Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General Bondi,
No, can I finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a specific question.
This is like the whole thing where she is just, you know, going off and they're like, no, shut up, I'm reclaiming my time, because they only have a certain amount of time to talk and she's trying to run out the clock, basically.
That I would like you to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions. The witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General
That's not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't like the answer.
Time.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked.
Didn't she ask Merrick Garland this?
I am reclaiming my time, and when I reclaim my time,
Mr. Chairman, the gentlelady has reclaimed her
I'm not going to
time.
get in the gutter for her theatrics.
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
First, you showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're going to answer the
theatrics are
question the way I
ridiculous.
asked it.
Chairman Jordan, I'm not going to get in the gutter with these people, but I'm going to answer the question.
How many have you indicted?
Jim Jordan, who's like got accusations in this thing too.
Again, the time belongs to
Reclaiming my time.
the time belongs.
I think it's very
Reclaiming
interesting.
my time.
I think it's very
Reclaiming my
interesting.
time.
And you can
When
reclaim
he
your
talks
time,
about they
reclaiming my time,
indicted,
Mr.
the
Chairman.
president said they indicted him twice.
Mr. Chairman, please
They
stop the
sure
clock
did.
and
They
stop the clock and restore his
indicted.
time.
Okay, here we go with these
Committee will get
theatrics.
order.
Reclaiming
Time
my
belongs to
time
the
and yield
gentleman
back
from
the
New
clock,
York.
please.
We will give you a few more seconds. We will do that. But when
Reclaiming
you
my-
ask a question, the
The
witness
question
gets to
was-
answer. You may not like the answer, but she
Right.
gets to
The
answer.
question was, how many of Epstein's...
They don't like
What?
the answer,
Reclaiming
Chairman,
my time.
because it's honest.
Reclaiming-
So he asked a
Reclaiming my-
Yeah, I guess you're right. There is a history of fighting in Congress. I guess just the ones we got in there now aren't built for it.
minute question.
Restore 45
And
seconds,
I am
Mr. Nadler,
going
please,
to
Mr.
ask-
They are built for cannibalism and murder, probably, but not fighting.
Reclaiming my time.
I mean,
Answer.
you can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch.
Reclaiming-
Not on our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you
You
started.
don't tell me.
Yeah, oh, I did
anything,
tell you because we
washed
saw
up
what you did in the
loser
Senate.
Lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in order.
Time, and I should get back at least 45 seconds.
We will give you a few more seconds. I said that already.
45 seconds.
Okay, I'm timing right now, Mr. Nadler.
All
Reclaiming
right.
my time. The answer to my question, how many of Epstein's co-conspirators has she indicted, is 0.
You are acutely aware of how important it is to protect the identity of victims of sexual assault, correct?
I have addressed this multiple times. I think others were cutting me off when I was trying
Well,
to.
I just simply asked, are you aware of the fact that it's vitally important to protect the identity of sexual assault victims as you prosecute the people they accuse of assaulting them? Isn't that correct?
Excuse me. As we have said multiple times,
Protection of the
protection
identity
of all victims
of the victims
are
is
protected.
so very
You are
important.
protected under. Do you want me to answer or do you want to interrupt?
Well, because you're not answering the question. You do a Jekyll and Hyde kind of routine around here, and I just want you to answer my questions.
What does Jekyll and Hyde mean? Can you
Well, it
explain
means
that?
you're nice to the
Explain that.
Republicans and you turn like Hyde on Democrats.
I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This guy kind of cooks her.
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There
You can't say no to that. She cannot say no to that question.
is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files
I'm reclaiming my time.
be
I got your
released.
answer. You said there's no
President
evidence.
Trump asked
Chairman, please stop the
because
clock.
he
Please stop
signed
the clock.
the legislation. This is
Time
ridiculous.
time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a
I
crime.
believe you just lied under oath, and this is on videotape. You said there's no evidence of crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop a limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell. So should the men who patronized this operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000.
It's wild. He brought up the Dan Faree tip line thing. That was shocking to me.
Sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I'm reclaiming my time. I'm glad you're asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim
because this
time
is
when you
bigger than Watergate.
When I don't answer the question.
Thomas Massey almost has like no voice left, I think. He probably isn't used to doing a ton of media and all this stuff. Like,
This goes over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
And that's
now,
where the
I want to know, at what
transparent-
point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Lex Wessner was not a co-conspirator? Because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen, please, to release the internal decision about whether to prosecute him or not, and it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
May she answer?
And he's a hypocrite because he voted against the ban that we were talking about on deep fake AI porn.
she's not talking. She's talking about deep fake AI.
Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
Was the president aware of Secretary Lutnick's ties to Epstein when he chose him to lead the Department of Commerce? Was he aware?
Chris Malin was a Border Patrol agent.
Okay, so I'm going to conclude that the president, in fact, did know about his ties because he was the next door neighbor.
Shame on you.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
You're
This
from
is
a tiny,
pathetic. This
beautiful
is
state.
pathetic,
The
Mr.
committee will be
Chair.
in order.
I am not asking trick questions here. The
You got your
American
5
people have a right to know the answers to this. These are senior officials in the Trump administration. This is not a game, Secretary.
I'm Attorney General.
My apologies, I couldn't tell. By 2008, we knew that Epstein was a convicted sexual abuser. And we now know that Lutnick went to Epstein's Island in 2012. How was that not a deal breaker for the president? And why aren't you asking questions of the Commerce Secretary about what he saw when he was at the island, which he lied about not ever going to? Why are you not asking these questions? And I see that my time is almost expired, so I will say this. Do the right thing, Attorney General. Meet with the survivors. They have been asking for a year. Meet with the survivors. Do the right thing. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from South Carolina is recognized for 5 minutes.
May I have 20 seconds of his time?
That'd be up to the gentleman, but
Absolutely, Madam.
Thank you. Thank you. I was curious if you, Congresswoman, asked Bill Clinton that. Didn't see one tweet, not one. I didn't see one tweet when Joe Biden was.
I don't know how the people that stand behind these politicians keep a straight face. Like, they must be trying so hard. I always look at all these people and you can see the effort that's going into it.
In office about Bill Clinton. Didn't ask Merrick Garland anything about Epstein, not once. When he was
Weak sauce.
And also, I want the record to reflect that, you know, with this anti-Semitic culture right now, she voted against a resolution condemning.
Oh,
I
just want to be clear. Do you want to go there, Attorney General? Or do you want to go there? Are you serious? Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust? Really?
This is not under attorney-client privilege because it was sent from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. Will you commit to publicly providing the unredacted version of this so that the American people can understand the extent of Donald Trump's lies about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein?
You're about as good of a lawyer today as you were when you tried to impeach President Trump in 2016. Have you apologized for that in 2019?
So will you unredact this? Will you
were
unredact
lead
this?
counsel on that. Privileged.
I'm asking you, will you unredact this?
Privileged.
Privileged, of course. I look forward to discussing this more. Now, these are obviously improper redactions.
And let me stop for a minute.
I'm talking.
So that was a email involving Trump, and he said, "Will you unredact this?" And she says that's privileged.
If they're not privileged,
quiet.
Don't yell at me. If they're not
Mr. Chairman, would you
privileged,
stop the clock? This is on your time. It's not on Mr.
if
Goldman.
they're not
Even though you
privileged,
used your
if we review
improper
them and they're not-
redactions
you'll like my answer.
to
If we
continue
review
to
them and they're not
protect
privileged,
Donald
Time belongs to
we
the
will be
member.
happy to release them.
We'll
after
stop the
review.
clock. We'll stop the clock. Time belongs to the member. Go ahead.
Even though you used improper redactions to protect Donald Trump and other predators associated with Jeffrey Epstein, you did the exact opposite thing with the survivors and victims of this scheme.
Support journalism.
There were a couple of other ones. Let's see. Which ones didn't we see? That one. This one is kind of interesting. I don't even know if it says I watched it, but I don't remember who asked who moved Ghislaine to the prison.
Ms. Consent?
Yes, please.
All right, the gentlelady is recognized.
Mr. Chair, I have a few unanimous consent requests. I would like to submit into the record this New York Times article titled "Alex Brady's Friends and Family Denounce Sickening Lies About His Life." I also would like to submit this daily.
Isn't she like 60? Who are you talking about? Pam Bondi? No, that's her husband. I think Pam Bondi's like young, or maybe that's Caroline Levitt I'm thinking of.
Exclusive interview with Vice President J.D. Vance titled "J.D. Vance Refuses to Apologize to Alex Brady's Family After Spreading ICE Assassin Claim." One more. My last submission request is a New York Times article titled "FBI Agent Who Tried to Investigate ICE Officer in Shooting Resigns."
Without objection.
Thank you.
The chair now recognizes the gentlelady from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney General Bondi, I think you and pretty much everybody else here and throughout the country believes that convicted sex offenders don't deserve special treatment or privileges in prison. And yet Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, received perk after perk in prison. In July, she had a 2-day interview with your deputy and President Trump's former defense attorney, Todd Blanche. Just days after that, Maxwell was transferred from a federal correctional institution in Florida to a minimum security camp in Texas, which she, as a sex offender, would normally be ineligible for. At this new facility, as the ranking member talked about, and by the way, it's nicknamed Club Fed. We've heard reports that she's been afforded special privileges: puppy tie, private workouts, personal mail, secretarial services. Attorney General Bondi.
Pam Bondi is 60 years. I did not expect that. I really did not expect that. I thought she was like my age.
Does a convicted sex offender like Ghislaine Maxwell deserve special treatment and privileges in prison? Yes or no?
Let me be crystal clear on this. No. And
Thank you.
let me keep going. No, let me keep going.
Perfect. Well,
I did not know she was being transferred.
I asked you yes or no.
She was not transferred to a lower
Mr. Chairman,
level.
please stop the clock and remind the witness of the rules. One rule she needs to
And I'm
understand.
glad that we're agreeing. So when we're agreeing, we can move on to some other things.
When
But
we're
I
not
want you to know that every time she does get these perks, and it's been publicly reported, that the folks she's abused, the survivors who are sitting here, they see themselves as being denied justice. They feel re-traumatized. And I'm glad that we agree on that. But she should not be in that prison. And she needs to be moved back to a maximum security prison as soon as possible. But what she has told another committee here is that she won't cooperate with them unless she gets clemency from Donald Trump. It's just crazy to consider that she can be wielding this kind of influence within the administration. But that begs the question, who ordered her to be transferred to the minimum security prison that she was ineligible for? Who signed off on the special privileges? Was it Mr. Blanche? Was it one of your other subordinates? So please, can you tell us who sent her there, since you don't agree she should be there?
I said I do not agree she should receive special treatment. She was transferred, I learned after the fact, to the same level facility, and that is a question for the Bureau of Prisons. I was not involved in that at all. The same level facility, I don't know why, but instead of talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison, hopefully will die in prison. You
I
should be
have a
talking
couple-
about Irina Zarutska,
I have a couple
who
of
died
other
on a
questions.
subway.
Right, and I absolutely.
You don't talk about that.
I have been talking about it and actually helping with these issues, but we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify. That's what the whole point of this endeavor is. So of course we're moving back to you. It is all about you. So as
That is so funny. Like, why aren't you talking about all this random shit while I'm on trial right now?
we've heard, she
I would love to do that. Like, you know, I mean, if I was in court, you know, on a drug charge or something, just be like, well, what about you? And
She took the fifth in response to every single question in that committee hearing. And her lawyer dangled the offer of clemency. Should Donald Trump pardon or commute her sentence? Should she be released from prison? Yes or no? You said you hope she dies there, so I'm hoping the answer is no.
I already answered that question.
Good. I'm very glad. I really like this bipartisan agreement about
Well, when
what
it
should
agrees
happen
with
with
you,
her.
but you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You don't want to talk about
I talk about her
murdered
all
by
the
a violent
time,
crime
but I
offender
am not
in
here
your
to
jurisdiction.
testify before Congress. You are. That is your job today.
You are
That's what you're getting paid for.
obsessed with attacking.
So I want you to know that your own DOJ employee, he's recently been demoted and had some other problems, advises on pardons. Do you think he will be advising Mr. Trump on any kind of clemency or pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell?
I'm not going to speculate, and you couldn't even identify properly. That's why you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You could.
she did not even say no to whether or not he's gonna pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. That is wild. I really want to know what notes are being tossed back and forth behind her too, because you'd been noticing that happening.
Identify her
Absolutely.
relative.
I absolutely
It's embarrassing.
have been, and her family, by the way, appreciates all of the condolences, all of the help, everything that our law enforcement in North Carolina has been doing to help her family.
Yeah, I feel like some of the questions were good, but most of them were most of the politicians were just like grandstanding and trying to get good clips. You know, they were clip farming essentially. I think this one was pretty good now. Yeah, I wanted to check this one. But yeah, they
Like a
were
balance
mostly
if she will
clip
answer right or wrong,
farming and not actually trying to press her and like cross-examine her. But you know, she was proving to be very difficult to cross-examine in the first place.
raping children. Wrong. Right or wrong, killing random citizens. Definitely wrong. Right or wrong, enriching yourself as the sitting president of the United States. Definitely wrong. Okay, thank you, because I probably never would have got that with our witness. Our witness who somehow is a lawyer but does not understand how it works with witnesses. I'm not really sure what law school she went to and what all kind of cases she tried, but typically when you come into a space and somebody's a witness, then they sit there and they answer questions instead of asking questions. And then we also have this objection that we use as lawyers called non-responsive when a witness fails to actually answer the question. But nevertheless, let me address the survivors, because that's exactly who they are. They are not victims, they are survivors. Let me say thank you for having more courage and moral clarity in your pinky fingers than the entire Department of Justice. We are currently the laughingstock of the world, partially because of the failed leadership within the DOJ, as we see kings and queens falling everywhere around the world. But we don't know the basics of right and wrong in this country, because it's not about partisanship. And that's why I applaud Thomas Massie, because he's the only person on the Republican side that has a backbone and knows how to stand up to corruption. But nevertheless, let me keep going. My Democratic colleagues have been attacked this entire committee hearing. They have been lied on. And frankly, the American people weren't looking for that. They were looking for answers about the corruption that they see coming from this administration. Of this particular witness, she stated that when she took office, she had two main goals. The first was to end the weaponization of justice, and second, to return the department to its core mission. Not only have you lied about both, you've intentionally done the exact opposite. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting journalists than you are prosecuting pedophiles and creeps. In fact, your boss, the president of the United States, stated that this administration, quote, took the freedom of speech away. And at your direction, DOJ has arrested Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And I might add that y'all actually had a judge that rejected y'all for trying to arrest Don Lemon before, just like the grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator.
Yeah, it seems like she's just clip farming too. So we could move on from that. There was something really crazy though. In the when they were going in and they have to look at these computers to to look at the files. Everything they do is being monitored. Everything they search is being monitored, which I think shows some serious fear.
For you to take a look at. These are notes that the Attorney General brought to the hearing today. Okay, it was.
So she always does this. She always has a binder filled with stuff that she's going to say back to them because she has no intention of even pretending to answer the questions. And one of the things here was the search history of one of the Congress people. Now, I think what she was trying to insinuate there was that, you know, she was digging too much in the wrong direction or something, or just looking into Donald Trump, or
Captured by a photographer who was in the room. And this shows a list of Democratic Congresswomen Pramila Jayapal, you saw her in some of those clips, of her search history. And this, of course, lawmakers are allowed now to go to a DOJ facility, to sit down at a computer and to search unredacted files. We have learned from this photo that the searches that members of Congress are performing are apparently being tracked and then read by the Department of Justice, by the Attorney General. What do you make of that development?
Well, it's a surveillance of Congress by the Trump administration.
Let's see. I got another one where that's discussed. I think this is it. Oh, wrong one.
DOJ monitoring the.
Wait.
What did you make of
this?
Okay. DOJ's monitoring
It is a violation of the separation of powers for them to essentially be monitoring our computer searches on the Epstein file. So I think it's outrageous that they would do that, and it's Orwellian, and we're going to have some more to say about it soon.
Do you know if Congressman Jayapal was the only person?
We have reason to believe that it was happening to everybody who went over there, that they were monitoring everybody's computer searches.
What gives you reason to believe that?
We'll be having more to say about this later.
Is this something that you guys learned?
This is insane. Like, to imagine, like, Watergate was this massive thing because a couple of dudes broke into a hotel and then broke into a safe in a suite, I believe was the situation, if I'm not mistaken. And like, this is just so much more insane, and that was like a historic thing, and it was like seen as one of the biggest cover-ups in U.S. history. I would say there's one or two more, but the mainstream doesn't recognize them as cover-ups yet. This was
this is horrible.
another main topic.
When I went in there, that's the first thing I thought as I started doing my searches. They are going to be recording this, and this is exactly why this whole process is flawed and a sham. One, how do they expect us to be able to go and investigate them when we're given, a minute, not a minute, when we're given limited time to review the files? They should be doing an investigation. They should be doing a thorough review and going after all of the people in those files that they're named, right? There are names there that they haven't investigated. It's their job. They're the Department of Justice. They should be doing that. And it is an outrage that they are spying on Congress.
Yeah, you were there today, correct?
Yes, I was there today.
Anything stand out in terms of what you actually saw? Redacted and perhaps shouldn't have been.
Yeah, it's clear that the redactions are haphazard, that they are redacting information that would be useful for somebody doing a true investigation to understand what the links are. I was very concerned about what had happened in New Mexico because we have the Soto Ranch there. And so, that's what I wanted to look for. And the way they've organized it, the way they have the search engines, makes it very difficult for us to see what happened. But just the search I did, they should be out investigating what they were doing in Soto Ranch. And there are leads that are there that they have not followed up on, clearly.
Yeah, so it's definitely clear that there were things that were ignored. Let's see what this says. I saw this and I made a note to look at it on stream, but I haven't really done a lot of research. So let's see what the deal is. Lawmakers uncover hidden names in Epstein files amid transparency push. Let's see. Tech-savvy users have even used simple Python scripts to reveal hidden text under sloppy DOJ black bars. While the files show Trump alerting police to Epstein years ago, bipartisan pressure continues. I guess this is a video. Let's check it out. It's only 30.
I wrote 25 lines of code that can probably unredact all of the Epstein files in less than 30 seconds. It's really not that crazy. All it does is take a PDF and turns it into a Microsoft Word doc, because the Microsoft Word doc just completely removes all this black.
Is this the same thing as before?
Line right here. So
they had to have fixed that from last time.
Took 0.2 seconds to do 2 documents. Before I end the video, I would just like to mention that I am not suicidal. I am a great swimmer, and I look forward to living my life well into my 80s.
Because I remember we tried that, and it seemed like they fixed that after a certain point. Let's see what the comments say. Looks like it's disputed, possibly. So this, I remember a similar case before. I don't know if it's more information coming out about this now, but there was a ICE agent, very high ranking, that was caught up in a child trafficking sting, apparently. And he was an ICE agent that was in charge of background checks.
Mr. Rashad Johnson, out of Maple Grove. This is the most disturbing arrest that we've had here. He is a backgrounder for ICE, Homeland Security, and federal agencies. So when you're getting your security clearance, this is one of the guys that does your backgrounds, which is kind of scary. So we locked him up. And I think if you're going to be, these people get access, they get a high security clearance, right? Because again, for all the ICE agents, Homeland Security agents, and people getting security clearance, this is one of the people that does the backgrounds. And you come here trying to purchase sex. We locked him up. I don't think he's going to be passing the background check no time soon.
And I remember there was a similar case. It might have even been in this same jurisdiction. There were 30 arrests and a sting. They only talked about one person, just so you... Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, some of the PDFs can be changed to MP4 and they become movie. Oh, okay. I see. Okay, so they are saying this marks the second individual linked to ICE who has been apprehended by the same police department. Because I remember this guy talking about another guy. Let's see if we can find Bloomington Police ICE. All right, so this one's the one we saw. Now, this one was November. This is a different guy. Look at this.
James.
Same dude, same cop, but he's talking about a different ICE agent that they caught up in a different thing. And this is the same town.
This is a tragedy in many respects, but people at the Department of Homeland Security, I know there are great people there that come to work every single day and do their jobs and do it admirably. Unfortunately, Mr. recently married back here is not one of those people. He works for ICE, and he is an auditor for them, a civilian employee. When he was arrested, he said, "I'm ICE boys." Well, unfortunately for him, we locked him up, put him in our jail. He got reappropriated to our jail, and my understanding is he helped send people to send federal authorities. I think he's going to see some federal authorities because I think the feds are going to take this case. So I'm going to close on this and I'll take questions.
So it looks like one of the cases was with children and the other one wasn't, perhaps. The one of them was definitely a children. I'm not sure about the second one. But regardless, not great. That is just because I was thinking it was the same, talking just more information about the same case. That is definitely shocking. I also saw this here. The guy from TMZ, Harry Levin, is named in the Epstein files, described as a good friend who could help run global PR effort to help defend Epstein and smear his victims and accusers. TMZ has remained suspiciously quiet regarding the file dump. Tried to call you. Harry Levin, who runs TMZ, is a good friend. Okay, no, this is from Mike Sidorick, not from Jeffrey Epstein. Zuckerman suggested shorter, punchier attack. I'll save for okay, leaked to British press. Nah, that's Mike Sidorick. He still appears in the email as a good friend of Mike Sidorick, but let's see who Mike Sidorick is. This guy, an author, Sidorick and Company. He's not even really. He's on the 2026 Who's Who list as of a week ago. What? That's kind of crazy, right? Let's see. This definitely seems like the same guy. He's a prominent figure in communications. Or no, it seemed like it might have been a different guy there that we were just looking at, unless I'm tripping. Renowned for crisis management expertise, his firm excels company launches, supporting causes like pediatric AIDS and the International Organization of Women Judges, an organization advocating for prison reform. I guess also looks nice on paper, but this was the guy who was offering to get his personal friend at TMZ to help Epstein launder his image. All right. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, that headline is a little bit deceptive, though. It does kind of look like Dr. Phil a little bit. So here's one. We've gotten hints of this story before. Let's see. Wrong one. I'm going to start with this one. So this is the one we looked at before. This is like the first clue we got on this situation.
I mean, first off,
So this guy is a manager of one of the casinos that Trump used to run. And he has said in multiple different interviews that there was one night where Jeffrey Epstein and Trump had young girls with him, and they took a helicopter to the casino and they tried to get the young girls on the casino floor. And the guy said, "No, you can't. the manager was worried, like, you're going to get this place shut down because we can't have people under 21 in here. And exactly, the tennis player. And he suggested that, in the interviews, you could kind of say, even here, the one I'm about to play, he definitely makes a point to say that they were older than 18, but under 21. And it turns out that they might have been under the age of 18. We're finding out now because of some of the details that he left in here.
It's laughable that it wasn't a good friendship, if not his best friend during those days. I mean, he frequently came down to Atlantic City, the two of them, to attend special events. I heard reference in several conversations, and in one conversation where I had to specifically talk to him about Epstein and his presence in the casino. So it was, it was, in my mind, it was his best friend. From really the time I was there for 4 years. His name was, not constant, but it came up quite a bit. And one incident that I think kind of proves their closeness and how much they hung out together. One time, a Monday morning, I came in and the commission was waiting. The inspectors were waiting at my office, and Donald and Jeffrey had come into the casino in the wee hours of Sunday morning, 1:30 in the morning. Two buddies. They had 3 women with them, and the commission was waiting for me because they had determined that the women that they brought down were underage to be on the casino. And when I asked them how they knew that, by the way, one of them was the number 3 ranked tennis player in the world. Okay. And this guy happened to be a tennis fan. And he said, Jack, I know she's 19 years old. Okay. So,
So he said 19, and there was like kind of a relief there. But I will have 2 things to say, whether that's true or false.
Get on a helicopter with a friend and 3 other people and fly down to Atlantic City. I mean, you can connect those dots.
So if I'm about to bring up something that might say that she was younger than that. However, even if she was 19, it still means that he knew her since she was 17. And that also doesn't say much great either. So this is this unearthed clip that talks about this 17-year-old tennis player staying at Mar-a-Lago in 1991.
Donald Trump's life. Tennis star Monica Seles, the top-ranking female player in the world, stunned everybody when she suddenly dropped out of Wimbledon. Now she turned up at the Trump mansion in Florida. Rosanna Scotto reports.
Forget about Hernando's hideaway. Turned into Donald Trump's hideaway for tennis fugitive Monica Seles. Seles mysteriously disappeared after abruptly dropping out of the Wimbledon Championships 10 days ago, only to strangely resurface at Trump's palatial Florida estate.
That's a little bit weird. I didn't realize the detail that she was like involved in like this big professional thing, but dropped out and then ended up at Mar-a-Lago.
Mega developer reportedly invited the 17-year-old Yugoslav to stay at his home so she could avoid reporters trying to find out why she skipped
from Yugoslavia.
the tournament. But why would Trump want to get involved in this? Could this eligible bachelor have met his match? The editor of Tennis Magazine could only guess.
They're talking about, that is so twisted, of how normalized that was, that they're talking about it on the news. Like, oh, is the bachelor interested in this underage tennis player?
Athletes attract all kinds of people. Say, we have a term for them called jock sniffers, which, the term, people who feel somewhat bigger by hanging around with athletes or celebrities. And I think it doesn't matter what social status you're from.
Trump has been known to be a big tennis fan. In fact, he found himself in some trouble last year when he was squiring Argentine tennis star Gabriela Sabatini around his casino in Atlantic City. She
it's a different one. It's a different one.
Was 19 years old, underage, according to Jersey law. Trump was served with a fine. While Mr. Trump would not comment on this latest tennis friendship, a published report says that Donald is really not interested in Monica romantically.
No. And she's kind of a melodramatic kid. She's always said she wants to be an actress, and she's loves that.
All right, so my assumption was wrong there. I heard tennis player, and I assumed that it was going to be the same person. But also creepy in a weird way. You know what I mean?
I can see myself in LA in a few years, but This is a little bit too Mata Hari-ish, even for tennis.
Less about their
Mata Hari-ish?
friendship.
I don't understand the reference.
One incident that I think kind
Oh, sorry.
of proves their closeness and how much they hung out together. One time, on Monday morning, I came in and the commission was waiting. The inspectors were
So this is the thing again. This is a different interview where he's talking about that. Yeah, it's the same interview we just listened to. But let's see. There's a couple of other parts on this thread. They did used to I saw that video like recently when they talked about it had old news clips from way back when they were talking about Britney Spears all creepily. That is like, what the hell happened? Like, it seems like we've really kind of evolved as a species in the past like 20 years on that shit. If she was my 17-year-old daughter, I wouldn't want her within 5,000 miles of Donald Trump. What is this, an opinion piece? By Tony Kornheiser of the Washington Post. So there were articles being written about this 17-year-old possibly having something going on with Donald Trump. What is this? 2005. The Monica is staying at Florida home with Donald. Okay, so this is a different source. Monica Sales, the #1 ranked tennis player who vanished after abruptly pulling out of Wimbledon with a mystery injury, is staying at a Florida estate of developer Donald Trump. Yeah, I mean, the fact that she was like a young girl from a like a post-Soviet country, even though she, probably had a lot going for herself as a tennis player, I feel like, could this be a person that was sponsored by Trump and Epstein? You know what I mean? And then, being supported by them allowed her to express her talents or something like that, like the dentist and all those other situations. And that's what they held over her. I'm just speculating, of course, but that's definitely a possibility. Let's see. I was 12 in 1972, most of the summer, the Watergate hearings. What's happening now is huge and maybe bigger, but Watergate was a lot more. Oh yeah, well, what they found at the hotel room, right? Like that they had the tapes of Nixon saying all that crazy shit. Was that the big fallout from it, and Kissinger as well, if I remember. But yeah, thanks for that. I looked into it so long ago, but I couldn't remember the specifics. Let's see what else we got. I was looking at a couple of other things. But yeah, the tennis things is weird. I don't know what's going on there. Why is he just hanging out with multiple? Here's another one I had just seen recently. So thumbnails of Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and Casey Wasserman's world tour on the Lolita Express. So there are pictures in the album of that trip that are redacted for reasons of they have illegal material on them. So this was kind of shocking because this is the one that Chris Tucker was on. I think we found out some other shady stuff about Chris Tucker, if I'm not mistaken, though, on stream, if I'm not mistaken, because we were thinking like at first that just seemed like maybe one of the more legitimate one of the more legitimate trips that the Lolita Express went on, because there was like this African charity involved, and there was all of these, people that aren't usually in the Epstein black book type situation. So it looks like, and appears Casey Wasserman literally flew on the infamous. Yeah, he's having a lot of fallout from this. A lot of fallout. But yeah, so it turns out that situation is that trip. There was probably a little bit more going on than that than we initially thought. Now, here's another one that was really strange. Reporter is threatened that he would be murdered if he didn't stop inviting or investigating Epstein. And then the next 24 pages in the file are completely blacked out. Let's see. Just catching up on chat. Yeah, so let's take a look at this. Dear Editor Smith, are you still going to write the story about Jeffrey Epstein's murder inside the... So this was after Epstein was dead? Are you still going to write a story about Jeffrey Epstein's murder inside the Metropolitan Correction Center and the Ghislaine Maxwell story, who's inside the Metropolitan Detention Center in New York? I was inside both for reporting the murder of farmers to the White House of Congress. Could you respond today if you still want me to keep sending you for more information from being in Jeffrey Epstein's cell on why the cameras in the backup are turned off? As I told you, whenever the cameras are turned off by the goon squad to kill someone, they always carry camcorders to record everything. Also, this is the New York Post covering FBI Director James Comey's Attorney General. Yeah, wait. Richard, these people will kill you. You don't go into the warden's office. These people will kill you. They will come into your room at night when you are sleeping and beat you over the head with an fire extinguisher and kill you, and they will throw the fire extinguisher into one of the rooms and blame one of us for killing you. You don't go into the warden's office. There's no context with that. But yes, then the next 24 pages are blacked out, and they're apparently connected with that same situation. So what is going on there? That's a little bit strange. And remember that Todd Blanche did say that there were I wouldn't say evidence, because if he would have said evidence, then he would have had to actually investigate something. But he said that there were depictions of murder and death or something like that they had to redact. And why aren't you investigating? If that is the case, that is a little bit wild. So yeah, definitely not sure what is going on there either. And Leon Black, let's look at this one. I want to go to the actual file. Let's see, DOJ. This is more on Leon Black. And apparently he was not a good person to deal with. And apparently was biting people, biting Epstein's victims. Let's see what we got here. Oh my God. So this is not okay. What the hell? Leon Black, of course, is the Wall Street guy, one of the main sources of Epstein's money. The first source, of course, was Lex Wessner. then Leon Black was probably at least second or third non-government entity, I'll say. So for 7 to 8 years, Black was violent and assaulted this person, most likely when she was underage. And he bit parts of her that, you know, you can imagine. And it was apparently exciting for him and very painful for her. JC represented victim for civil defamation case. Got a call back from a victim woman who said she heard about the lawsuit against Black. Black said he attacked her around 20 years ago in Epstein's townhouse. Victim described it, felt pain. Substance abuse problems in 1990s, preyed on by Epstein. Minor victim at Epstein's house was told to give Leon Black a massage. Violently attacked by Black, 16 years old. See, like, Leon Black should definitely be in prison. Oh my God. There's a lot of terrible stuff in this document that, like, I can't even say that. Wow. So these guys were definitely violent with many of these victims as well. I think that part is clear. Holy shit, man. Like, what the hell is wrong with these people? Actually, tomorrow, I'm probably going to try to fit it in tomorrow anyway. But unless a lot of news happens, I do want to get into you know, how power and you know, billionaire status, the power that comes from that, and the power that comes from massive amounts of political power over long periods of time really does things to warp your brain. And you know, it's our society is apparently, like, it is essentially encouraging this kind of behavior, because we allow people who have enough money and power to get away with pretty much everything. They have no discomfort in life whatsoever, so they can just, they just constantly are chasing things like highs, to the point where they end up being a cannibal or something like that. And like, I'm just, like, being halfway joking there, but you know what I mean. You never know. Let's take a look at this real quick. Yeah, this was my first time seeing it. I just stumbled across that one today. So this is somebody talking, one of the Congress people, I think, talking about what he saw in the unredacted files.
Redacted Epstein files? Yes, I went this morning for 2 hours.
Any takeaways?
A few takeaways. Number one, there's still a lot of documents that are still redacted. When I asked the DOJ about it, they said they received it that way, which means that Kash Patel's FBI kept them redacted when they gave it to the DOJ, which is interesting. A lot of names of billionaires and elites. The second thing is, there's just so much to go through. I have to go back. I actually went on Reddit and asked folks what documents they think I should look at. There was like millions of views, tens of thousands of responses. We're going to be going through that. I will be hitting the House floor to talk about the things that I've seen. And the reason I'm going to go on the House floor is because it'll be protected speech and it'll keep me protected as well. But I got to go back another at least 2 or 3 times to put some puzzle pieces together and go out and speak to people about it. And like, the third thing is, it was just horrible reading about a lot of the horrible things that people have gone through, that young women, that girls and children have gone through, and how billionaires have been able to escape justice.
Got it. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you.
There was another wild one in here. Let's see. What's her name? Boebert. She said that she started talking about the cannibal shit on TV, which is pretty wild. Let's see what we got here.
There are code
this seems that it wasn't only the trafficking of young girls, as the narrative suggests, but there are code words that suggest Jeffrey Epstein and his associates could maybe even be engaging in some sort of consumption. Is that human consumption? Are there code words? There's a lot of talk of beef jerky. There's a restaurant called The Cannibal where the owner is listed in some of these documents. Now, that isn't a restaurant that is just proclaiming to serve human meat by any means, but some of this just, it seems that there's a lot of conspiracies that make you wonder. And I saw more emails about torture, and these coded conversations still have a very clear topic that torture was big. It was a big driver for them. And these were sick people doing very, very sick things. As you mentioned, there are many women who are involved in this. You have folks that were working directly for Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Right. And a lot of these women are the ones that are sending emails saying, here's one 10 years old, 11 years old, 9 years old. And it's just very disturbing to see the women who are involved in this as well.
Yeah, so that's pretty crazy that shit's on the news right now. You know what I mean? Like, the way that this whole thing is unfolded, and actually is pretty funny. I went back and checked my first book that I put out in 2012. Oh, I put out the first version of it in 2012, and then I got ripped off by my publisher, and so then I released the book under a slightly different name. The first time it was called Alchemy of the Modern Renaissance. Don't ever buy that. That's the publisher one. And then I released it as Alchemy of the Timeless Renaissance, which was my version that I self-published after that whole ordeal. And I actually mentioned Jeffrey Epstein in it way back then. I think it was harder to get information about him back then, but because of the fact that I was like, wow, yeah, I had that back in 2012. But the problem was I called him a British banker. I don't know why I did that. I don't know if it was because that was like the information that was going around at the time, but I definitely had a factual error in there. I called him a British banker that was like connected with the royal family, which was half true. I mean, we didn't know, we knew very like little about the story back then. Very few things were published online. And actually, I do have an interesting thing about that. This was one of the emails where they talked about how they hacked the internet to have him, details about him removed. So it let's see, the subject is hacking Wiki again. They have all sorts of protection around your mugshot picture on Wiki. And so we are hacking Wiki now to remove it and replace it with the photo that you sent, which will have the headline, Jeffrey Epstein, businessman, philanthropist. By the way, we also took you out of the sex offender category and removed your headline and beginning of the sentence from Wiki that also stated sex offender and now reads businessman, philanthropist. We recorded the IP addresses of the people who were going in and changing our edits back and actually hacked the site to block them back in. That's why the site has been stable. And then I had the response up when I was looking at it earlier, but I don't think it did now. And he's just like, it's great when you have friends that like know tech and stuff. Which part of this video am I supposed to bring up? Because look at it for what's the part in that video? Because it's like a half hour long. Let's see.
This is Calibri 12-point font. And that is really important because one of the main determinants of how wide a word is going to be, how long it's going to go under that redaction is going to be the font itself. And so if we can be finding corresponding names that fit here as well as the other locations, that's going to be some stronger corroboration that we've potentially found the right person. So let's go ahead and dig in. First, actually, I want to show you. Sorry, jumping back and forth and back and forth. This is probably driving people crazy. I apologize. All right, Times New Roman. So Calibri
Yeah, good find. I'll probably skip through a little bit, but yeah, this is a good one.
is tricky. You can see how if we switch back to Times New Roman, it just does not fit. It widens the names. It's not going to be the same. But one other key difference is that Calibri is a sans serif font. So if we look here at Times New Roman is a serif font, which means it has all these little serifs, aka text decorations, like the tails and the bases and stuff like that. And those are really useful because they create a pretty unique pixel artifacting signature for each letter that is easier to differentiate between them. Whereas if we go back to Calibri, it's much cleaner and the letters.
Right, let's see what we got here.
So I had the correct settings for this document. It is just different between this document and this one. All right. So watch your settings, guys. They can really get you.
People find out is wild.
So with that said, there is a name that might fit here. Possibly. I'm a little uncertain. It's not perfect. Let me. Oh yeah, you see, it's doing weird things to the.
So that's how they're.
So I'm gonna go ahead out to the main
that
section. Come
crazy.
on. And we're gonna go. Boom. 0. And now you can see it actually fits reasonably well. Now, I'm not 100% on Les Wexner for this spot.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who does that. I noticed Sabby doing it in a clip too, because his name is a tongue twister. I do it every time.
It's a little bit weird to me that they used his nickname. It's not unheard of. And also it does seem to like push things a little bit weird. I'll show you in a second. But let's go ahead and add in, we'll leave him there for now, Leslie Groff, and then comma Fitz, Jean-Luc Brunel. And so it's close enough that I think it's reasonable to leave that there for now. So then I have no idea who this person is. I have not been able to find a name that matches G right here. But H has some possibilities. So I'm just gonna real quick fill it all in to get the spacing right. And then let's hop over to H. But the problem is I think that might be a typo for Lawrence Morrison in a couple of documents. I haven't seen
Yeah,
him.
when you're dealing with like a dumbass DOJ that's typing up shit, there's a room for error here because they might have had typos.
In any other than just a couple of documents from House Oversight. So I think it's possible that it was just somebody wrote out Harrison instead of Morrison. The other one that fits is William Hammond. And I think he's probably the more likely of those two names. So we'll leave him there for now. Now, he has never been, the pilot, his name is Bill Hammond. That's what he goes by. Bill is generally short for William, but full disclosure, I have not seen any corroboration or been able to find corroboration that Bill is actually short for William. So that is my best guess. I feel reasonably confident in it, but again, full disclosure. And this last one here is David Rogers. Oop. Boom.
So a lot of these are pilots and assistants and stuff like that. And you know what? That makes sense because this is from their investigation. So in their investigation, they're probably like, let's get the help and not really mess with a lot of the rich people, you know?
Now, interestingly, there is one name, one pilot that I would expect to see in a list like this that doesn't fit anywhere as far as I can tell in here or the email. And that is Visosky. Larry Visosky was the primary pilot for Epstein. And he's listed all over the documents. We know he has testified. Where is he? And that is very strange to me. There was one spot that he might fit here, but the only way that his name actually would fit in here is if we change the settings and switch the
People are
kerning
so smart.
to 0%, which we.
Let's see.
And lastly, there's this person.
I'm
would be 1, 2, 3, 4
What cut
of
ahead
anyone
here.
that's a doctor of any kind being on that would fit this box. So, no, not medical thing. That gives us some insight, because if they just redacted his last name, guess what? We now know the approximate length of his last name. And we can know that his last name was approximately as long as his first name. And we can also compare this to the other boxes and just give some corroboration that this is the same person talking, the last name.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm definitely curious to see where that leads people. Reverse searching the emails. Interesting. So you want to hear something like really weird? I'm not sure how I feel about it now because I looked up more about it. But when I was talking to Bob earlier, he told me that there's this thing called Kuru disease that you get from cannibalism. It's associated with cannibalism. And he says that it causes like a sore on your mouth. Because you're eating. And I remember that he said that those pictures that Epstein had where he was taking pictures of that rash around his mouth, he was saying that was it. I tried to look up what photos of that rash would look like, or those sores would look like, but I couldn't find pictures because of course it's so rare. But I didn't know how to feel about that. We had a laugh about it, but I was not confirming or denying. Is this one of them? Yeah, see, like that's weird right there, right? He took a couple of them. You see that whole area is kind of missing. I mean, it also could potentially be a more realistically like an STD or something like that, considering yeah. I just thought it was a funny hypothesis. I've never seen this one. This one's a little bit weird. These are all the new releases, all the new photos. What is this? He's like posing for a portrait or something. Eat neural matter called prions, destroy your brain. I'm gonna have to double check that. Yeah, I mean, it is. Weird. I think we ran that guy through facial recognition, or tried to. That guy too, yeah. I think that one. That's Noam Chomsky and Steve Bannon. Best friends. That is like such a wild betrayal. I never really saw that one coming. It's weird that they don't redact her face, but that's like, and then they redact it in the other. Very weird, but that's Nadia Marcinkova, I believe, his accomplice and girlfriend for a long time. Michael Wolff. See, and look, they redact her and then don't redact her. It's very weird how they do that. Oh, the pug, not the pug. I know they don't treat dogs well. I have a pug. She's usually on that sofa behind me, but like right now is past her bedtime, so she's never here during the stream. Yeah, we looked up that guy. He was some kind of UN guy, I believe. That guy was a Slovakian president. This guy was a chef, or no, this guy was a CEO. This was at Harvard. We did facial recognition on these guys, and they're like Harvard guys. I hope there's nothing on here to get me banned. This guy just got in trouble in France. And I don't understand why there's like 20 pictures of the same. Oh no, I just realized that's not good. Well, no, because not all of these pictures would be like distributed for the purpose of like ordering or like a catalog or something like that. Stephen Hawking. Not sure who that is. I believe that they added some new ones to these because they've been slowly updating Gmail. See if we could find any. This guy, is this? I think I know who this is. Let's see if I could do the facial recognition. Do I need to sign in? All right, cool. I got it. Let me download this. This is the Tether guy. That's what my guess is. This is, what's the Tether guy's name? Tether founder. Brock Pierce. That's who this seems like. Let's see. Where did I save that picture to? Desktop, EP. Okay, I have a new folder for that. Here we go. I thought I just put you in there. Here we go. I'm pretty sure it's that dude. I didn't know how deep he was in with Epstein, but I'm pretty sure that's who it is. Like, it looks like him. Oh. See what we got. Yup. Brock Pierce, that's who it is. He was, yeah, actually, if you think about it, because he was a child star, that's a good point. There, he probably was a victim himself as well. That's a good point. If he was on the Mighty Ducks and shit, yeah, that's plausible. Where did the oh, did I close Gmail? I'll open it back up. Let's see. I lost the chat too. Let me bring it up. Apparently, there's claims of a 6-foot-tall nude portrait of Ghislaine and Zero Ranch. Yeah, there were news stories actually. Let's take a look at that real quick, actually, because I got to share that. Because that's even being reported on the news now that there are possible bodies at the New Mexico ranch. Here it is.
Jeffrey Epstein providing more information on the convicted sex offender's crimes. Among the five, these are buried near Epstein's Zorro Ranch in Santa Fe County. Tonight, the state land commissioner demanding an investigation.
I'm going to keep asking questions and keep poking around until I get an answer.
Those coming from an anonymous email in 2019 addressed to a local radio host.
Aaliyah Chavez spoke with him and has the details of that email.
Yeah, Doug, Shelley, we're also hearing tonight from the Attorney General's office, who says it takes these allegations seriously, but needs more information to do something about it.
Eddie Aragon says it was early in the morning in November 2019 when he got this email from someone claiming they were a former staffer at Zorro Ranch. Writing, "Did you know somewhere in the hills outside of the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G. Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex."
I got the email. I was startled.
The emailer says they had 7 sex videos, including some with minors, but never actually sent the footage, asking Aragon for digital currency Bitcoin.
Approximately at that time, Bitcoin was worth about $8,000. They wanted to exchange 1 Bitcoin for the videos that they had in possession.
Aragon says he didn't know what to do with the email, so he sent it to the FBI.
I've since referred to the FBI on a number of other things, and I've never heard back from them on anything.
Fast forward 6 years later, the DOJ released Aragon's email as part of the Epstein files.
Matters. I think that New Mexicans need answers. I think the victims need answers.
That's what prompted New Mexico Public Lands Commissioner Stephanie Garcia Richard to send this letter to the Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney's Office Tuesday, asking them to thoroughly investigate this disturbing allegation regarding the referenced burials.
We need to get to the bottom of really what happened in New Mexico.
She says she was horrified to learn in 2019 that our state was still leasing lands around Zorro Ranch to Epstein's company.
I canceled the leases at that time.
A month after Epstein killed himself in jail, the land around the mansion totals around 1,200 acres and hasn't been leased out.
She said that very confidently. Like that's the most confidently I've ever heard somebody say that he killed himself in jail.
Since.
We're thinking to possibly turn it into a memorial to honor the victims, or as some kind of wildlife sanctuary, perhaps. So that's what we're thinking for that land.
Attorney General Raul Torres' office responding to Garcia Richard hours later with this letter. As we understand it, the allegations appear to be unsubstantiated, it says, going on to say they will work to obtain the original files. Once such information is obtained, our office will review it to determine whether any further action is warranted, and if so, the appropriate next steps.
To my knowledge, no investigation has taken place thus far. It doesn't sound like anything is going to be taking place very soon.
The commissioner says she's ready to offer all state land for investigation, but can't do anything about the ranch since it's privately owned, bought by new owners and renamed. Aaliyah Chavez, KOAT Action 7 News.
Who are those new owners? It's weird that that place has never been investigated. It's weird that new people own it now after it's so like, what's the point of even searching it at this point? Let's see. In the years following, Kirby Summers, I'll have to see who they are. Let me see. I'll look into her. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I think I've seen some of her stuff before. So San Rafael Ranch. For an undisclosed sum rumored to be far lower than the asking price. I can't believe it was handed over to new people, to a newly registered company. I probably have some of her books on audio then. Yeah, I probably, because I always get the ones that come out. So I probably have. So yeah, this is pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, I guess they got almost a $10 million discount, but yeah, I'll have to like check out her like newsletter or podcast or whatever. Whatever her ongoing work is. Yeah, wow. So Epstein purchased the Zorro Ranch in 1993 from former Democratic Governor Bruce King. It's very interesting that this property is just exchanging private hands that like know each other probably. It reminds me a lot of the yacht that was sold between like Ghislaine Maxwell's dad and then the Khashoggis, and then did Trump own it for a time, I think, something like that. So that's quite interesting. I really wonder, the people that have bought it now must be like, what what are we going to do with this? Or they're a part of the cover up and they've been covering it up, for the past 2 years and everything's already gone. I would imagine unless something's buried out there, then, they might have scrubbed everything in the place. Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
The sausage egg biscuit is perfect.
Now it comes with hot honey sauce.
Well, that's nuts. Definitely interesting. Thanks for joining me again. I will catch you all tomorrow. We'll probably have I'll definitely have some more Epstein stuff, but I'm going to get into like the billionaire psychology as well, I think, and also whatever updates come along. Yeah, and I know they had tunnels at some of their properties as well. So, oh yeah. Check out my book, Paper Squares and Purple Stars: My Life as a Rave Outlaw. I have many other books, but that's my newest one. And definitely subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. It is very helpful to do that. I appreciate you all helping me kind of get started again and rebuild this community. It's been very great. Join the Discord as well. And yeah, you can suggest stories and kind of be a part of the conversation there. So I will catch everybody tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.